So I've slept on it. Considered just about everything that I could consider, and James Harden is still a bitch. Anyway, I'm sure you guys aren't here to listen to me have another rant about my ex fandom for James Harden. Um, so I decided to make a video in regards to what I thought about the trade for each individual team, for all four teams, and kind of, you know, how I think it all turned out for everyone. Um, and I think, yeah, I don't really have too much to say. That's just what I'm gonna do. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started with. We'll start with the Rockets. That's fine. Ooh, excuse me. So obviously the Rockets gave up James Harden. As you know, as I ranted about, he was throwing a temper tantrum in Houston, trying to get out, and was just being an absolute bitch, not even trying on the basketball court. I don't even have anything else to say. James Harden was just being an absolute bitch. That's all it was at the end of the day. He thought that his team wasn't good enough or whatever. So the Rockets got pretty much as much as as much as they would be able to from this trade. Seriously. So they got Victor Oladipo, he's a serviceable shooting guard. It's just the fact is he came off injury and he hasn't been the same, which is very unfortunate because he was a hell of a player. I really liked VO, but yeah, he just hasn't been the same player. But I do think that in a system with John Wall as your point guard, VO would be the shooting guard. Um, they have Christian Wood, who's on the rise. He's actually starting to play extremely well. And then they have DeMarcus Cousins, who is still a good center. He's just, a little banged up, but he's still a good center. I feel like Victor Oladipo is going to fit in just fine, to be honest. They got Karooks. I think that's how you say his last name. Karooks. Karooks is a young big from Brooklyn. He honestly, in some of the games where Brooklyn, all their guys were out last year, he actually stepped up. So could I see him coming off the bench and giving some minutes? Sure, yeah, definitely. So I feel like he was a pretty decent pickup. I don't know how effective he will actually be, but he'll he's all right if the coach gives him the minutes. And then they got Dante Exum. Dante Exum was a big question mark in my mind, just because if you look at their bench, it pretty much is all guards. Like Daniel House. They have, oh my god, I'm drawing a huge blank. It's about 8 in the morning. Just woke up, so trying to remember though. Anyway, because I can't think of it. But anyway, they do have some guards off their bench already. So adding another scoring guard is kind of a question mark to me, but I'm sure it was just another one to kind of match the salary of James Harden or, fill out some of the roster spots. So I can't mind, I don't mind it. But then they got the picks. They got 4 unprotected first round picks. They got Brooklyn and Milwaukee's 2022 picks, so this next year. They got Brooklyn's 2024 and 2026 picks. So they got a total of 4 unprotected firsts and 4 unprotected first round pick swaps. Sorry. They don't say who the pick swaps are from, which could change things around, because obviously if it's with a good team, it won't really matter too much. But, yeah. They got a total of 8 first-round picks, a good shooting guard, a serviceable big, and honestly a serviceable guard, but they're just not going to play him, I don't think. All for James Harden. The picks is what excites me because of the fact that they have so much to work with now. They could get some of those picks and trade for another good player, or they could just draft their future. Either way, I mean, you're in a really good spot no matter what. So okay, so honestly, overall, I would give the Rockets probably a B. Actually, no, screw that. Probably I'll go an A minus, because they replaced the position that Harden was at, and they got a total of 8 first round picks. Now, obviously, they did lose their most important player, to be honest, and James Harden. He's kind of the guy that did it all, but they got a lot back for him, so I can't really mind too much. I think it was good. So I'm gonna give them an A minus. The Nets, they gave up a lot to get Harden. They gave up Karis LeVert, Jared Allen, and Taurean Prince, and a lot of picks to get Harden. So, here's my reaction to the Nets. It'll work out for now. James Harden going to the Nets is going to be a W in the short term. In the short term, it will be. But, let's be honest. James Harden's already getting fat. He's already like 30-something. So he's only got a couple more years in his peak. And then he's going to start to digress. And it's probably going to be pretty fast, especially if he's fat. Kevin Durant is still a good player, but he just came off of an injury. He's still a bucket, don't get me wrong. He's still a really great player. But he just came off an injury. Who knows how many more years he has in the tank. And same with Kyrie. Kyrie's doing this bullshit up in like where he's going to his sister's birthday parties instead of playing basketball, and he's like partying. He's attending like these political things. I don't know what the hell Kyrie's doing. This was just as bad of a situation as James Harden for me, so now you have all three of them on the same team. So I don't know how it'll work with all of them on the floor, but in my opinion, I think they'll still be a good team, and I still think they'll have a run at the playoffs, or at the championship. So in all seriousness, I do think that it'll be a W in the short term. In the long term, though, they have no picks, and Karis LeVert and Jared Allen were their future. They were very young, very, very good, and they just kind of gave that away to try to win right now. So I can't really say that I thought it was a terrible idea. Oh my god. I can't really say I thought it was a terrible idea. If they are trying to win right now, that is probably the best route to go. But in the long term, they're going to be terrible. Give it like 5 years, probably 4 or 5 years. They're going to be absolutely terrible. Each and every one of these players is done with their contract in the next 2 years. I could see James Harden, after he gets a ring, leaving. Like, if he ends up winning a ring with Brooklyn, I could see him leaving. Kyrie, who knows what's going on with Kyrie? I don't know. I don't know what's going on with him. But that's neither here nor there. I'll give the Nets probably a B+, because I give them a good shot at winning the championship this year. It'll be them or the Lakers, I'm sure. So I give them a good shot at winning the championship. It's just, after these next 2 years, like, you're just, like, your next, like, 3 or 4 years, you're done. Like, I mean, you don't know what the hell you're going to get. James Harden is going to be probably gone. We don't know what's going on with Kyrie. We don't know the loyalty of KD, because obviously he left after being down 3-1, or being up 3-1 and blowing it. So I don't know. I'm going to give it a B plus, just because it does give him a good shot at winning the championship this year. And if that's all you're going for, sure, this is probably the best move to do it. Now we'll go on to the Pacers. The Pacers got Karis LeVert and a 2023 second round pick from Houston. And I don't know. I think the only thing, I'm reading over these details, and I think the only thing that they gave up was Victor Oladipo. So they gave up Victor Oladipo, got back Karis LeVert, who's younger and honestly better than Victor Oladipo, and a 2023 second round pick from Houston. Okay, I gotta be honest, Pacers are probably the team that won this trade. Like, no exaggeration. The Pacers are probably the team that won this trade. Like, full through and through. They got rid of a player that is dealing with some injuries right now. And I'm not saying Victor Oladipo can't be a good player, but I'm just saying right now, Victor Oladipo is kind of struggling with injuries and whatnot. So until he gets that stuff straightened out, like, why not bring in a player that's younger and is literally averaging, like, crazy numbers for Brooklyn off the bench? And now they're probably going to give him a starting role. So they're going to have Brogdon, who's been showing out this year. They're going to have Karis LeVert, who's been an absolute dog. They're going to have TJ Warren, which we know in the bubble, he can go off, so he can go off at any point. Sabonis, who's having a monster year, like literally could be in the MVP race right now. Monster year. And Miles Turner, who's actually played really good this year. His three ball has gotten a lot better. They pretty much made it 4 out in Sabonis inside. But Miles Turner's still 7 foot. He can crash the boards, and so he can. So sorry, I lost my train of thought. So he's 7 foot, so he can still get rebounds. He can still finish inside. He can still play that inside big man, and he has the ability to stretch the floor and shoot threes. That team is nuts. If I were to redo my predictions, I would have to put them a little bit higher. I really would. Because they're going to be good. I mean, they really are. They have the Holiday brothers off the bench who have been pretty decent. They have TJ McConnell off the bench who's been a pretty serviceable guard. You know, they've just got a lot of pieces. So I got to give the Pacers a lot of credit. I really do. I give them an A. I'm about this close to giving them an A plus. I mean, they couldn't have got too much better. Maybe if they would have gotten a first round pick instead of a second round pick, then I would say definitely an A plus. But you know, Karis LeVert is an upgrade from Victor Oladipo. They still somehow got a pick out of it, and now they filled out their starting 5. Yeah, they're gonna be fine. They're gonna be really good. So the Cavs got Jared Allen and Taurean Prince, which is interesting to me, mostly for the fact that they already have Drummond, they already have JaVale McGee. So why did they add another center, an inside center that can't shoot? I'm not sure. But here's the way that I am going about this. I think that they are going to use some future picks and maybe Drummond to get a good player for the Cavs. And I think it's a good idea. Just because of the fact that Jared Allen can be that starting center. He can be that monster on the inside. He was putting up really good numbers in Brooklyn. So I think that he'll do really well in the Cavs, especially with the team that doesn't really have a lot of usage rate outside of Sexton and Garland. So I think that it'll be fine. I think that it'll work out, especially if they can, because Drummond's going to be a good trade piece no matter what. Like, you can probably get some good value out of Drummond. I really like the trade in that aspect, if that's what they're going to do. If they're not and they decide to keep them all, I don't know what the hell they're doing. Taurean Prince was a good pickup just because of the fact that Kevin Love's been out almost this entire season. So adding in Taurean Prince was a good decision because it adds in that potential 4 spot. Chetty Osman is kind of playing the 3 and Larry Nance was kind of playing the 4, but I'm glad that it's not that way anymore. And that Taurean Prince is going to play the 4 because that's really where those players should be, is in their prime positions rather than getting thrown around in these random weird positions. So overall, I'm going to give the Cavs a B. I'm going to give them a B. I think. I don't know. Maybe a B plus. Because all they did was give up Dante Exum and somehow got Jared Allen and Taurean Prince. So I have to give them props for that. Unless if one of these Brooklyn picks or Milwaukee picks were theirs, but I don't think it was. But yeah, I mean, I guess they did pretty well on that too. So my overall theory is that this trade was really good for every team, but it's just in different aspects. The Rockets, their future is set. They have so much potential. They have so many picks now. They're chilling. The Nets, obviously, they have a chance to win the title this year. Like, that's a lot of star power all on one team. The Pacers got Karis LeVert. They have now filled out their roster. They're a super young team, and they're going to be chilling. They're going to be good for probably, like, the next, like, 3 years. Like, no exaggeration. Maybe even longer than that. That was just a baseline. And then the Cavs, if they do end up using, like, Drummond as a trade piece, that could be a very, like, solid starting five too, with Darius Garland, Sexton, Kevin Love, Jared Allen, and then if they trade for someone, because that's their weak spot right now. Isaac Okoro they drafted, but he hasn't really done much. Chetty Osman's okay. Larry Nance is okay, but if they get like a stud, they'll be set. So overall, I do think that it was a win for every team. I'm really happy about the trade for everyone. I think that it worked out just fine for everyone. Yeah, I don't really have too much else to say. So make sure that if you guys are new, make sure you guys like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you guys know whenever I post. But for now, this is King Standard signing off. And always remember, be a Bulls fan.